talking about the book. Most of what you know about addictions is wrong. And I'd like to start with the idea that it's just Punjab which is, the hub of all addictions, and the rest of India is somehow safe and secure from the drug menace, as it's called. But it's not so.
No, it's not true.
And let's talk about that.
Sure.
This whole idea that, Punjab is this one big sore in this country, it's everywhere.
It is everywhere. Historically, the northwest and the northeast have always had a rather high incidence of opioid addiction. The simple reason is that the northwest is next to what is called the Golden Crescent, which is part of Afghanistan, part of Iran, part of Pakistan, the hilly ridges. And so geographically, there is proximity. And the northeast is next to what is called as the Golden Triangle, which is Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand, where now these two places produce actually 90% of opium in the world.
Exactly.
So that is one reason that it's not just Punjab. It is Delhi, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Kashmir. They are catching up very fast.
That's
And
right.
Northeast, of course, historically we know that.
But it's also elsewhere in the country. And it's not just a question of the addict, it also means the families. I mean, it becomes a family issue. So when you look at, if you're looking at a number of addicts in the country, you're actually multiplying it by 4 or 5 because it becomes a family issue.
Yes. No, that's true. It involves the family. It actually involves the whole society. It creates it wrecks families. It disturbs societies. And yes, that is true. But the mistake in understanding that we very commonly, let slip into this concept of addiction is that getting periodically, once in a while, I wouldn't use the word intoxication, wanting to alter the vague reality. Once in a while, it is a normal human need. All of us have it. It is as natural an instinct as is eating or sex or sleeping. All of us do it. Some people do it with drugs, some people do it with alcohol, others do it with the power,
Yeah.
with religion, with
Yeah.
art, and it is natural, it is inbuilt from childhood. You might have noticed that small children, they, go round and round and round, and then they feel that head rush.
Yeah.
They like it.
Adrenaline.
They like it. And, young girls, they hold their hands and...
Do that twirling.
yeah, and when at the height of speed, they shriek in glee.
Yeah.
So this is very much normal. Only thing is that in adults, the form changes, but all of us have it. It is when it gets out of hand, when it is stopping you from studying, stopping you from looking after your children, or relating to your family, or going for your work, then it becomes addiction.
Yeah.
The rest of it is normal human behavior.
Yeah. And I also wanted to talk to you about this idea of the war on drugs, which you talk about at great length in the book. I mean, we cannot have a war on drugs, which means that you actually are, waging war on the drug addicts. You have to treat them with some sort of compassion. It's an illness. It's not, so that whole system of rehabilitation, of treatment, instead of focusing on that, we focus on this, imprisonment, detention, that kind of punishment. Can we talk a little bit about creating a society which is able to view addiction with some sort of compassion and contribute to helping people resolve it rather than wage this unthinking war?
See, society will continue to wage this war uh, unless it sits down and understands a couple of basic things about addiction. And that thing is that addictions cannot be eradicated, they can be managed.
Managed, which is what you say. The difference is very clear.
Yes. Uh, and what is the difference? The difference is that, like I said, that wanting to get intoxicated once in a while is normal. It's not going to go away. The second thing is that opium, cannabis have been, both of them, have been part of our culture for thousands of years. And it is part of our spirituality, it is part of our religion. These things cannot be eradicated because roots of addiction actually lie in the human brain. You cannot abolish addiction and take it out from its roots like politicians say before every election. So what is to be understood? What is to be understood is that what happened in 1985 was that first there were UN conventions, various countries got together at America's behest and signed treaties which mandated upon the rest of the world to make even consumption of any of these plant drugs a crime. You know, not just smuggling or transporting.
Yeah,
even
but also consumption.
you put, you know, a speck of, you know, heroin here on the tip, and that is punishable by at least 9 months in jail.
Yeah.
So the thing was, now, when this law was passed in 1985 in India, as NDPS Act, what we call it, the milder intoxicants disappeared. Now, there is something which is called as the iron law of prohibition. If you ban a thing, the intoxicants become stronger.
And more dangerous.
And more dangerous, hence more dangerous, because they are now much stronger. Why? Because for smugglers, it is because the moment you make it illegal, smugglers enter. They were not there before. For smugglers, it is much easier to smuggle in stronger drugs which are compact,
Yeah.
which are easier to smuggle,
Right.
and they're more profitable. So, and whenever there is prohibition in a state, the first thing which disappears is the beer. Whiskey and vodka are still available
Right.
because they're easier to smuggle,
Yeah.
and more profitable. And the people who were drinking beer before, now they're actually forced to drink vodka
Right.
or whiskey. So this is what the society has done. The need is to go back. And go back to a time when the intoxicants were milder and less harmful. See, the thing is that it is also not just drugs which cause addiction. There are behaviors which cause
Yeah.
addiction. There are now, for the last about 20 years, WHO has recognized gaming addiction,
Absolutely.
internet addiction, and gambling addiction. They are diseases. There are numbers given to them in the WHO classification of diseases. If you have gambling addiction, you can go to a hospital, get treated, and get the expenses reimbursed. It is that much of a disease now.
Right.
So it is the second, another most important thing to understand is that, I'll give you an example. In 40 Islamic countries, there is prohibition of alcohol. Alcohol is not available. Even in the 5-star hotels, you don't get it. Pakistan, let's take the example. So naturally, there are very few alcoholics. There are, but as compared to India, much fewer. But the frontier province of Pakistan, you go to the city of Peshawar and its parks, they are full of syringes and needles and vials in the morning. Pakistan, where there are no alcoholics or very few alcoholics, they are happy about that because of the religious reasons alcohol is prohibited. But it is one of the worst cases in the world country-wise as far as heroin addiction is concerned, injectable heroin addiction is concerned. Injectable heroin addiction kills.
Yeah.
It causes HIV. It causes hepatitis C. So what has happened is that they did suppress, managed to suppress alcoholism, but on the other hand, the addiction to a much more dangerous drug, heroin, increased. So addiction is like a large, soft balloon. You press it from here, it swells up from there.
That's right.
So unless we understand this balloon cannot be wished away. You can manage addictions, you can allow milder addiction like they were, 1,000 years back. But to say that, a government, and what exactly have we done since 1985? We have thousands and thousands of people in the jails, most of whom are just users and small-time peddlers. An 18-year boy goes and brings this much of 5 grams of heroin for himself and 2 of his friends. And he happens to be caught in it. And jails are full of such people.
Especially the adolescent jails. They're full of these kids.
The jails are, all of them are youngsters, all of them are young boys. And that mindset, in 21, in the city of Mumbai, 91% of people who were arrested for drug offenses were users and small-time peddlers, and all of them young people. So, and what is happening by this war approach that you mentioned, that last year the Indian police and various drug agencies, they confiscated thousands of, tons of heroin and opium. Exact amount was given. Now, that exact amount is actually 5% of what India consumes in 1 year. So we are failing on both the sides. And when you make the milder intoxicants legal, the smugglers go out of the picture.
Exactly. And you've given the example of Portugal, which you
Portugal
say has
has done
managed
it.
it really well.
Portugal has done it. They have decriminalized use of intoxicants, all. They have decriminalized carrying small amounts of intoxicants. These people are not sent to jail. They are sent for treatment, or they're just let off by telling them, look here, syringes are dangerous.
Yeah.
Give them awareness, give them advice, have school awareness programs, rather than jailing them. Many other countries, not just Portugal,
Let's talk a little about the management approach. That is where we are terribly, terribly, I think, under-equipped, overwhelmed. We have rehab centers which are run by states which are in terrible condition. We have rehab centers which are very expensive, run by private caregivers who are essentially fleecing families. Where does the family of an addict go for treatment?
Family of the addict goes, see, these rehab centers are actually, as a treatment modality, they are overrated. Everybody doesn't have to go to a rehab center. most of these addictions, they are treatable on an outpatient basis. There are substitute drugs which, which are given in the OPD. Patient comes, takes it, he doesn't feel the withdrawal, he doesn't feel the craving, he goes back to his job. He spends time with his families. He's no longer scared of the police,
Right.
he's not running from police. So he has his life in his own two hands.
But that has to happen only if the addict is willing to.
In any case,
To be treated.
in any case, he has to be willing.
Yeah.
You cannot forcibly admit a person in a rehab
Although
center.
it is done.
Because, although it's useless.
Yeah.
You know, apart from other things.
Yeah.
It's illegal, it's useless, it's wastage of money, and so on and so forth. All addicts, they know that they need to, you know, leave
Reform
it.
and
They-
leave.
they just can't.
Yeah.
And nobody is there to guide them. Because the society hates it, there's a stigma around it. The police is always around to see a person who is a regular addict, even if he takes a small amount, sooner or later, because he carries it in his pocket, sooner or later he's going to be caught by the police and go to jail. And then the whole family gets into a different circle. You know.
Right.
And the mindset that the police has. You know, a couple of years back when there was this crisis in Bollywood and everybody was,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, being
Arrested or
just for
interrogated.
2 grams or 3
Yeah.
grams or this and that.
For even for CBD oil, which
Yes.
yeah.
So the police in Hyderabad got so inspired by by the police in Mumbai, that what they did was they stood on the road and started stopping two-wheelers of all young boys, you know, and then checking their phones for WhatsApp messages if they had asked any peddler, send me 2 grams,
Right,
send
right.
me 1, and arrested them. No, that is the societal approach. Unless we have to totally change it. And that actually stems from the political approach, because the chief minister, before the elections, had promised that if I get elected, I will eradicate addiction in 3 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever.
Which are all ridiculous
Which is
statements.
ridiculous, because addictions cannot be eradicated because their roots are here, you know. So addictions can be managed
Yeah.
with legalizing very mild addictions.
Right.
You know, actually it is not even logical. Alcohol is far more dangerous than
Dangerous
opium.
and is available everywhere.
Alcohol is far more dangerous than opium. It is legal. Tobacco is 100 times more dangerous than cannabis. Alcohol is legal, opium is not, tobacco is legal, cannabis is not. It doesn't even make sense scientifically.
But do you sometimes feel like you're a solitary voice in this entire sort of chorus that, we have to have this war on drugs, we have to exterminate all addictions, we have to make sure that, of course, we have to make sure that our children don't go down that path. Of course, we have to do that. But should it happen, and it does happen, how do we manage this? Do you sometimes feel like you're pretty much solitary in this more compassionate approach?
No, actually, I'm not solitary at all. That the whole scientific opinion all over the world is changing. 22 states in the United States of America
Have legalized
cannabis.
cannabis.
It is available in the stores.
Right.
See, another advantage of legalizing it, that the stores are obliged to give it to adults.
Right.
While smugglers have no such obligation to society. They'll give it to 12,
Anyone.
12 years old, anybody
Yeah,
who goes there. And not just 22 states in Canada of America, but Canada, Australia, South Africa, Georgia, Thailand, Netherlands, many countries in the world have always done it. You know, to my mind, it brings a very different analogy, you know. Till about 4 years back, uh, homosexuality in our country was a crime. Where did we pick it from? We picked it from actually the British. The British,
West, yeah.
when they were here, to enforce their so-called Christian values, they made it a crime in India. They went back, and 20 years later, in their own country,
They
legalized
decriminalized,
it.
yes.
They legalized it. We did it after another 40 years.
Right.
So maybe we are, trying to do that or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's about time.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kala. I think everyone should listen to you more carefully, especially the politicians, and they should certainly read the book, which is very readable and not too much of a tax on their intelligence. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.